Chapter 3441. The fog area has already developed to such a state, and you're still talking about the Lutian Academy? Isn't it ridiculous? Hearing that Andrew was going to expel him from the Lutian Academy, Night Sorrow immediately revealed a trace of a cold smile. There was no order in the fog area in front of him, and the Lutian Academy had become a decoration. Hehe. If you know what it means to be expelled from the academy, you definitely won't continue to say that. Andrew roared and said crazily, I'll tell you now. Those who are expelled will have to withstand an attack from the Supreme Venerable. After roaring, he took out a token and carved Night Sorrow's name, appearance, and aura on it. After he finished carving, the token immediately turned into a blurry figure. This blurry figure gave off an extremely powerful feeling. With a slight perception, one could determine that he was at the Supreme Venerable level. 3 breaths after the figure appeared, he suddenly looked at Night Sorrow and said, Is it you? Die. Then he launched an attack at the Supreme Venerable level towards Night Sorrow. Oh my god, this is a true Supreme Venerable level attack. What should we do? White Wuji, who was in the air, immediately cried out in alarm after the figure launched an attack. Ai's expression also became very ugly. To them, an attack at the Supreme Venerable level was simply too terrifying. Don't panic. If he can only attack at this level, I can barely block it. At this moment, Night Sorrow said confidently and completely activated all the states that he could activate. Moreover, he burned all his bloodline. The Supreme Venerable's attack blasted out the Starfire Mother Sun Spear. Then he set up the Divine Essence Trapping Array, the Merit Trapping Array, and the Defense Technique beside him. Haha, with just you, a 4th grade half-step Supreme Realm Warrior. You want to block the attack of a Supreme Venerable head-on? You really don't know life from death. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't choose to dodge, and directly took the attack of the Supreme Venerable, Andrew immediately mocked. So what if you're a Supreme Venerable? At this moment, Night Sorrow roared and completely collided with the attack of the Supreme Venerable. After an instant, Night Sorrow's defense was basically all broken, and he was directly sent flying. The Azure Phoenix battle armor on his body had been torn apart, and his body was covered with wounds. Furthermore, the remaining power of the Extreme Exalted's attack began to corrode his body through his wounds. It made him look very miserable. However, Yishang was actually chuckling right now. This Supreme Venerable's attack is only SOSO. Then, he activated the Leakin power and the power of virtue to purify the attacks of the Supreme Monarchs. His wounds began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. What? You already have the ability to resist an extreme paragon. Seeing the scene in front of him, Andrew immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. He immediately prepared to flee. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would still be alive after Extreme Supremacy's figure was depleted. If that happened, he would be in trouble. Trying to escape? Where can you run to? Night Sorrow didn't immediately chase after him. Instead, he locked onto his aura and continued to fight with the Supreme Being. He realized that he could comprehend a lot of things in the process of withstanding the Supreme Venerable's attack. This was very beneficial for cultivation. After that, he continued to fight with the Supreme Being. During the battle, Night Sorrow suffered countless heavy injuries, but he was able to recover every time. The strength of his body was gradually increasing as he adapted to this level of attack bit by bit. Even when the Eternal Divine Tower completely formed a new soul, Night Sorrow didn't ask him to help him. Supreme Venerate's figure only had the will to kill. He only wanted to kill Yishang, so he kept attacking. Little did he know that he had become a powerful sparring partner. Night Sorrow suffered heavy injuries time and time again. In the process of recovering, his body was getting closer and closer to perfection. Only now did he completely understand how powerful the bloodline of the Supreme Being was. This kind of heaven-defying recovery ability was simply a sharp weapon to increase the strength of his body. In this state, he fought for about 3 years. Night Sorrow felt that his body had already surpassed the 5th grade of the half-step Supreme Realm, and was almost at the level of the Supreme Being. At this moment, he should be completely immune to attacks below the Supreme Being level. As for the attacks of the Supreme Being, they basically didn't cause any damage to him. He immediately sent a voice transmission to the Eternal Divine Tower that had just formed the soul of the weapon spirit. convert it into energy. I want to use it to advance to the 5th grade of the half-step supreme realm. At the same time, he sent a stream of merit power to the eternal divine tower to purify the remaining trace of dark aura. Okay, Night Sorrow. This time, the voice that responded to Night Sorrow sounded very similar to Little 2, Little 5, and Little 7, but it was a fusion of them. This voice gave him a sense of familiarity. Then, the eternal divine tower directly absorbed the Supreme Being's shadow and converted it into energy. While waiting for the eternal divine tower to convert the Supreme Being's shadow into energy, Night Sorrow tracked down Suze's aura and killed Suze and the shadows behind him. Then, he took out all the bones of the Supreme Being from the 1st to 4th cities in the foggy area. He gathered all the bones of Yen Hengshi and sent them into the ancient coffin, allowing his soul and bones to fuse together. Yen Hengshi, who was recovering in the ancient coffin, recovered to the 5th grade of the Supreme Realm. This was not his peak, but he still needed time to recover to a higher level. After communicating with Yen Hengshi, Night Sorrow began to absorb the energy of the Supreme Being's shadow in the 100-fold space of the Eternal Divine Tower. Using the 100,000 years in the Eternal Divine Tower, which was equivalent to 1,000 years in the outside world, he successfully advanced to the peak of the 5th grade of the half-step Supreme Realm. He was only one step away from the Supreme Being. At this time, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Yen Hengshi and asked, "Senior, what do I need to do to advance to the Supreme Being level?" There are 2 ways. One is to comprehend the Tao of the Supreme Being yourself, and the other is to absorb the energy of other Supreme Beings. From this energy, you can comprehend the true essence of the Supreme Being. Yen Hengshi explained to Night Sorrow through voice transmission. After he finished explaining, Night Sorrow said, "Now my body already has the strength of the Supreme Being. It's the same in terms of strength. The only thing I'm missing is the last step of enlightenment. How could he achieve an epiphany faster?" Senior, if you want to achieve enlightenment faster, the best way is to fight the Supreme Being. In a life and death situation, you can successfully stimulate all your potential. Only in this way can you surpass the limit. After Yen Hengshi finished, he continued, "As for the next step, what you need to do depends on what you think. The next step is to find a new Likan Supreme. After finding him, I'll go find Yen Supreme. Finally, I'll purify all the cultivators in the foggy area and the 2 worlds and hide them in the ancient coffin. I'll wait patiently for the battle with the 3 Supreme Beings." Yishang enunciated each word clearly. He calculated and confirmed that the 3 Supreme Beings were about to come out of seclusion. There was not much time left for him. Chapter 3442. There wasn't much time left for the world. Hearing Night Sorrow's arrangement, Yen Hengshi pondered for a moment and said, "It's been hard on you. You have far less time than us. As a result, you're still 1 level away from improving your strength crazily. Even if you can advance to the Supreme Venerable before they come out of seclusion, there will be a big gap between you and the 5th grade and above. Let's see if the new Likan Extreme Venerable, and you can fight one of them together." He knew that even if Night Sorrow advanced to the Supreme Venerable, Yen Jizuan appeared. The 3 of them had a slim chance of winning against the 3 Supreme Venerables with their strength. But if he and Yen Jizuan fought 1 Supreme Venerable each, Night Sorrow and the new Likan Extreme Venerable joined forces to fight 1 Supreme Venerable, then there might be a chance to turn things around. I only hope that the junior mentioned by Senior Likan has successfully advanced and can fight side by side with us. After Yishang said this, he led the group in the direction revered Likan had pointed out. It took about 15 years for them to come to a new world. This world was about the same size as the Eternal Supreme World, but the aura was stronger. The general strength of the cultivators was also stronger than that of the Eternal Supreme World and the Eternal Ancient Desolate World. Releasing the power of his spirit and casually probing, Night Sorrow found that there were 3 or 4 half-step Supreme Venerable existences within a radius of 1,000,000 miles. A friend from afar has come. What's the matter? Just as Night Sorrow released his spirit to investigate, a voice suddenly appeared in the void. Then, a cultivator who looked almost exactly the same as Likan Extreme Venerable appeared in the void. His aura was stronger than Night Sorrow's, but weaker than Yen Hengshi's. Night Sorrow observed with the sea serpent's eye and confirmed that he was a second-grade Supreme Venerable. He was relieved. He knew that Leakin Extreme Venerable didn't lie to him. The world he was in had indeed produced another Supreme Venerable. So he said, "It was Leakin Extreme Venerable who asked me to find you and fight the 3 Supreme Venerables with us in the fog. He asked you to come. What proof do you have?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the new Leakin Extreme Venerable, Lang Wanjun asked. "My bloodline is the proof." Night Sorrow stood in the void and released his Leakin bloodline. At this moment, the figure of Leakin supremacy suddenly appeared in the void. He looked at Lang Wanjun with gratification and said, "Wanjun, I am very gratified that you were able to become an extreme paragon." "Master!" Lang Wanjun shouted excitedly when he saw werewolf supremacy in the sky. "Sai, Master has already fallen and died in the fog. Right now the 3 supreme monarchs in the misty area were plotting something big. They wanted to devour everything they went to and everyone they saw. You must join forces with Night Sorrow and kill them all." Runlang Extreme Exalt said with a heavy heart. In fact, he had transformed into the Leakin bloodline and entered Night Sorrow's body. He was equivalent to a witness to the entire matter. "What is the strength of the 3 Supreme Venerables you mentioned?" Lang Wanjun and the others immediately asked after Lang Jizuan finished speaking. Before this, he had never thought that there would be so many Supreme Paragons in the world. The 3 of them should be at or above the 5th grade of the Lamita realm. However, we also have 2 experts at or above the 5th grade on our side. When the time comes, we will have a chance to win as long as we can fight against one of the Supreme Venerables together. Night Sorrow said according to his and Yen Hengsher's judgment. "Fighting against the Supreme Venerables at or above the 5th grade together with you. Isn't this a joke?" Hearing this, Lang Wanjun looked at Night Sorrow and said with a frown. Obviously, he felt that Night Sorrow was only at the peak of the 5th grade of the half-step Supreme Venerables. There was still a huge gap between him and the Supreme Venerables. He felt that it was equivalent to asking him to fight against the Supreme Venerables at or above the 5th grade. It was completely suicide. "There is still some time before the final battle. I will successfully advance to the Supreme Venerables during this time." Night Sorrow knew what Lang Wanjun was worried about and said immediately. Hearing this, Lang Wanjun continued to ask, "How long before the battle with the 3 Supreme Venerables?" "About 1,000 years, but I have 100 times time acceleration. That means I have about 100,000 years to advance." Night Sorrow thought for a while and said to Lang Wanjun. As soon as he said this, Lang Wanjun's face suddenly became extremely ugly. He snorted coldly. "You have the confidence to advance in 1,000 years? Take a step back. Even if you advance, your cultivation will only be at the 1st grade of the Supreme Venerables. Can you withstand a blow from a 5th grade Supreme Venerables? I really don't have the confidence to withstand a blow from 3 Supreme Venerables. But we have to try and see if we can defeat them. Let's return peace to the world. We can't just give up resisting and let them devour the entire world." Yi Shang said with a heavy heart. To be honest, he didn't have the slightest confidence to fight against 3 Supreme Venerables. But he definitely didn't want to give up and let those 3 slaughter the world. "Forget it. Rather than cooperate with you, I might as well choose to submit to those 3. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Lang Wanjun looked at Leakin Supreme Venerables and said, "Master, the 3 people you mentioned are so terrifying. I can't fight against them. See you later." After saying this, he flew away decisively. He didn't have the intention to continue communicating with Night Sorrow. "Wanjun, you're confused. Those 3 are different from what you think. They won't accept submission. They will only devour you to increase their strength." Seeing Lang Wanjun flying into the distance and disappearing in the blink of an eye, the Leakin Supremacy's illusory figure called out earnestly. But Lang Wanjun didn't have the intention to turn back. This made him extremely disappointed. Night Sorrow and Yen Hengsher were also disappointed. At this time, Leakin Supreme Venerables said somewhat guiltily, "Sai, what a rebellious disciple. The heavy responsibility of saving the world can only be left to the few of you. People who walk different paths can't work together. He doesn't know what kind of existence the 3 Supreme Venerables are. It's understandable that he doesn't want to cooperate with us, and wants to be a local tyrant. Knight Sorrow knew that Lang Wanjun was afraid of the three Supreme Venerables. Secondly, he felt that the three Supreme Venerables might not appear here. Rather than taking the initiative to fight them, it was better to pin his hopes on the three Supreme Venerables not coming. Let's proceed to the next step. At this time, Yen Hengshi comforted him. There will be a way when the car reaches the mountain. If this path doesn't work, we'll think of another way. The best way is for me to quickly increase my strength and become strong enough to fight against one of the three Supreme Venerables. Knight Sorrow looked at the void, and said while leaving Lang Wanjun's realm. Now that he couldn't rely on external forces, he could only rely on himself. Then, he took Yen Hengshi and the others directly back to the Eternal Supreme Realm that was in complete chaos. He was ready to wipe out all the foreign races, and find the whereabouts of Yen Hengshi. For this trip, he brought everyone in the Night Demon territory into the Eternal Divine Tower. He didn't give the three Supreme Venerables a chance to harm his family and friends. Chapter 34-43. Being brought back to the familiar Eternal Supreme Realm by Knight Sorrow. Supreme Ancestor Phoenix was very excited at first. But when they finally arrived, their eyes dimmed. Because the Eternal Supreme Realm had been beaten to a pulp, and there were not many territories that were still in good condition. Everywhere was filled with smoke signals. Until today, countless races that had suddenly appeared were still fighting. He didn't know if they were here to fight for resources, or if they just wanted to kill. Supreme Ancestor Phoenix couldn't help but curse. These damned beasts should all be killed. Yes, we came back to kill them all. Even if the Eternal Supreme Realm has been destroyed, it shouldn't be occupied by them. Knight Sorrow said coldly, standing on the starship. He hated these culprits who had destroyed the Eternal Supreme Realm, as much as Supreme Ancestor Phoenix. After communicating with the others, he led them from the border between the Eternal Supreme Realm and the foggy area, and began to sweep all the way. From the beginning, they killed all the demons that had appeared in the Eternal Supreme Realm. Knight Sorrow and the others treated all of them equally, and that was an absolute sweep. And in the process of sweeping through the alien races, Knight Sorrow's power of virtue had been constantly rising, and it was about to catch up with his cultivation base, which made him feel very surprised. He wondered if he could walk the path of Tao affirmation through virtue. Although his power of virtue had been suppressed by his cultivation base after arriving in the Eternal Supreme Realm, but at this critical moment, he might have to rely on virtue to affirm his Tao affirmation. After sweeping through half of the Eternal Supreme Realm, Knight Sorrow and the others encountered powerful opponents. These opponents turned out to be the 9 terrifying creatures he had seen in the sarcophagus in the world of gold. Among the 9 terrifying creatures, one had now advanced to the Supreme Realm. The other 8 were all at the peak of the 5th stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. With such strength, and without Yen Hengshi's help, Knight Sorrow, Jialin, and the others were not easy to deal with. After the encounter, the Supreme Venerable Resentful Dragon of the 9 terrifying creatures recognized Knight Sorrow immediately. He said coldly, "I didn't expect an ant like you to have reached such a realm. However, your path will be cut off today." This could be the karma that had been planted that day. In front of the Supreme Sovereign, you are all ants. Ants? Not necessarily. Today, I will take back my home from your hands. Don't think that you're invincible just because you've become a Supreme Paragon. In the face of the Supreme Resentful Dragon, Knight Sorrow didn't back down at all. Now that he had returned, he was going to lead everyone to wipe out the outsiders who were wreaking havoc in the Eternal Paragon world. Now that he had taken back the Eternal Paragon world, none of the 3 Supreme Paragons could devour it. "Ah, you want to challenge the Supreme Sovereign? What a joke." The Supreme Resentful Dragon sized up Knight Sorrow and laughed in disdain. Then he said, "Old 9, you go and meet him. Big Brother will hold the fort for you." "Yes, boss." The one called Old 9 was a monster with the body of a python and the head of a woman. His aura was one of the stronger ones among the 5 half-step Supreme Realm cultivators. She responded and flicked her cold snake tongue at Knight Sorrow. When she flicked her tongue out, it was 10,000 feet long and looked very evil. At this moment, Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "Why don't you all come at me together? It's boring to die one by one. How arrogant of you. You're courting death." The female cultivator who flicked her tongue roared in anger and attacked Night Sorrow with her tongue. As she attacked, her long forked tongue split into millions of strands and swarmed towards Yishan. Night Sorrow naturally didn't care about such an attack. He raised his hand and hit the female cultivator with the broken void palm, directly killing her and turning her into virtuous energy. What? Old Nine was killed by a cultivator of the same level with a single hit? What's going on? Seeing that Night Sorrow killed the female cultivator with a single hit, the remaining 8 outsiders were all shocked. The Supreme Venerate Resentment Dragon yelled furiously, "Kill them all!" After he finished speaking, he unleashed a ferocious attack on Yishang. After all, he was a limiter, so his attacks were different from those of ordinary cultivators. Yishang immediately felt an unprecedented amount of pressure when he was attacked. It was completely different from the feeling brought by the Supreme Venerable figure. Soon, he was suppressed by the furious Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon. While being attacked crazily, Night Sorrow gradually got used to this rhythm. In the beginning, he was in a very sorry state when he was attacked by the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon. However, after gradually getting used to it, he completely reversed the passive situation and gradually became evenly matched. At this moment, the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon completely realized that although Night Sorrow's cultivation hadn't reached the Supreme Venerable level, his true strength was no different from in Supreme Venerable. Gradually, he unleashed his most powerful attack. However, the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon soon realized that no matter how powerful his attack was, he couldn't kill Night Sorrow. Every time he was heavily injured, Night Sorrow could always use his powerful Leaken bloodline to recover. He immediately became confused. How can there be such a powerful cultivator, half a step to the Supreme Venerable in this world? This is impossible. If you don't have any other tricks up your sleeve, it's my turn. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who realized that the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon had no other tricks up his sleeve, was slightly disappointed because the other party didn't force him to his limit and didn't succeed in advancing to the Supreme Venerable level. Then, with the cooperation of the Eternal Divine Tower, he launched a frenzied attack on the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon. In the beginning, the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon could still resist. However, as time passed, not only did Night Sorrow casually kill the other exotic beasts, he even forced him into a dead end. Under such circumstances, the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon, who had no other choice, couldn't help but beg for mercy. "Don't kill me. As long as you let me go, I'll choose to submit. With your strength, it's useless even if you submit." Night Sorrow, who had already figured out the Supreme Venerable Resentment Dragon's strength, knew that he was no match for the 3 Supreme Venerables. He killed him with a wave of his hand and turned him into a large amount of power of virtue. After absorbing the power of virtue, Night Sorrow's power of virtue completely caught up with his cultivation. He also reached half a step to the Supreme Venerable level. After the power of virtue stabilized, Night Sorrow once again led the others to sweep through the Eternal Supreme World. This time, it took about 100 years for them to completely wipe out all the foreign races in the Eternal Supreme World. After cleaning up the Eternal Supreme World, Night Sorrow began to lead the others back to the foggy area to purify the cultivators there. The process of purifying the cultivators in the foggy area was similar to the cleaning up of the Eternal Supreme World. They also encountered resistance from the Supreme Venerables. Moreover, they encountered 2 Supreme Venerables. These 2 Supreme Venerables were the same as Yen Hengshi's judgment. They had both advanced to the Supreme Venerable level recently. They still had a trace of hope for the 3 Supreme Venerables, and stood opposite of Night Sorrow. Chapter 34-44. In the end, in order to prevent them from becoming food for the 3 Supreme Venerables, Night Sorrow defeated them one by one. He purified them and kept them in the ancient coffin. However, even though the 2 of them were purified, they had no intention of fighting against the 3 Supreme Venerables. In their hearts, the 3 Supreme Venerables were godlike existences. They could not summon any determination to fight against them. Knight Sorrow knew that it was impossible to fight against the three supreme venerables with just the two of them. Therefore, he threw them into the ancient coffin and ignored them. He led the group to sweep through the foggy area. Wherever they could see and reach, they purified everyone and kept them in the ancient coffin. At this point, everyone knew. He was not called Night Demon, but Night Sorrow from the Eternal Supreme World. His goal was to defeat the three supreme venerables and bring peace to the world. If not, the cultivators in the Eternal Supreme World, the foggy area, and the surrounding realms would forever become food for the three supreme venerables. After the cultivators who were kept in the ancient coffin and hidden had endless expectations in their hearts, Night Sorrow felt that his power of virtue had increased again. It had even touched the extremity. However, before he could completely advance, the three supreme venerables came out of seclusion one after another. The moment they came out of seclusion, the world trembled. When Venerable Mia came out of seclusion with a cultivation of half-step extremity 7th stage, he found that the foggy area was almost empty. He was immediately furious. He roared, "Who did it? Who did it? Come out!" Venerable Wuji and Venerable Dan had also advanced to half-step extremity 6th stage. If not for the fact that they wanted to advance, they would have already come out of seclusion. At this moment, they found that the world had changed greatly. Almost everyone was missing. There was no one to devour at all. They were so angry that they wanted to destroy the world. The three supreme experts, in their rage, searched the foggy area frantically. At this moment, because Night Sorrow was at the critical moment of his advancement, and Yen Jizuan did not appear, he could only hide in the ancient coffin and let his power of virtue complete its advancement. After spending 200 years in the Eternal Divine Tower, Night Sorrow's power of virtue had completely advanced to the extremity. In less than 100 years, he successfully reached the first realm of the undefeatable realm, and became a true undefeatable. In the world where the ancient coffin was almost fully formed, the Supreme Paragon Tribulation was over. Night Sorrow began to stabilize his cultivation base. He had just become a Supreme Venerable, so he still needed some time to adapt. If he rashly went out, he would lose more than he gained. While Night Sorrow was leveling up and stabilizing his cultivation base, the three Supremes could not find anyone in the foggy area and the Eternal Supreme World, so they began to search the various hidden worlds. Now it had already swallowed all the cultivators in the world of the new Extreme Werewolf Venerable. The nearby worlds were not spared either. However, because the newly ascended Supremacy Werewolf's realm was relatively low, Supremacy Annihilation, who had devoured him, did not advance to Supremacy 8th grade. When he was being devoured, the newly advanced Leakin Extreme Venerable begged bitterly, but he couldn't escape the fate of being eaten. He regretted not agreeing to work with Night Sorrow back then. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. His tragedy could not be reversed. After devouring the Extreme Werewolf Venerable and some of the surrounding powerful realms, Supremacy Annihilation's face was full of killing intent. If I'm not wrong, someone must have hidden everyone before we came out of seclusion. Since we can't find them, we'll destroy the entire world. Let's see where they can hide. Brother Annihilation's words make sense. Also, I know that there are tens of thousands of small worlds behind the Eternal Supreme World. Although the cultivation base of the people there is very low, if we devour the entire world, we can still improve a little. Supremacy Limitless body was surrounded by flames, and there was a clear ruthlessness between his brows. Hearing this, Supremacy Pill sneered. No need to rush. We'll take it slow and eventually force out the people behind the scenes. As long as we devour them together, Brother Annihilation is likely to open up a new realm. It'll lead us to new worlds. The world in front of us is full of ants. We need to cultivate for countless years before we can devour them once. It's really too boring. This time, I'm prepared to go all out and devour the world's origin as well. I've waited for too long, and I don't have the patience to do it again. Supremacy Annihilation's eyes were filled with endless brutality. He had completely become the kind of demon who would destroy the world. After he finished speaking, Supremacy Limitless and Supremacy Pill responded one after another. Then, the three of them nearby devoured the world where Supremacy Werewolf Venerable was, as well as the surrounding realms. along with the world's origin. After devouring the surrounding realms, Supremacy Annihilation sneered. Devouring these snacks is really too boring. Next, we'll attack the Eternal Supreme World and the Fog area. I'd like to see what eternity is. Alright, we'll first devour the tens of thousands of realms connected to the Eternal Supreme World. Then devour the Eternal Supreme World. I'll lead the way. Supremacy Limitless responded and led the way, leading Supremacy Annihilation and Supremacy Pill to search for the tens of thousands of realms behind the Eternal Supreme World. The cultivators in these realms were all at the Sovereign Realm. As Supremacies, they were preparing to attack these realms. One could imagine how evil they were. However, the three Supremacies had just devoured the realms behind the Moon Shadow Estate. An elegant woman appeared in the void above the Eternal Supreme World, blocking their path. She growled in a low voice. As Supremacy, don't you feel ashamed bullying some rulers? A big fish has appeared. Long time no see, Supremacy Yin. This time, I won't let you escape. Supremacy Annihilation's face lit up when he saw Supremacy Yin appear. Right now, he wanted to continuously devour Supremacies to increase his cultivation realm. Supremacy Yin in front of him was also a 7th grade Supreme Supremacy. If he devoured him, he would likely advance directly to 8th grade Supreme Supremacy. He would be one step closer to the new realm he was looking forward to. I've just made my move, and I've already lured out such a big fish. It seems that I've done the right thing. Supremacy Limitless' face revealed a tyrannical smile when he saw Supremacy Yin appear. Supremacy Pill sneered. Just attack and take him down. What's there to talk about? He had been injured by Supremacy Yin in the past, so he held a grudge. What right do you have to be brave when you've already been defeated? Today, I'll destroy all of you and return peace to the world. Supremacy Yin faced the three Supremacies alone, displaying a shocking fighting spirit. The moment he roared, the entire world resonated with him. The Eternal Supreme World beneath Supremacy Yan's feet rose up with endless energy, adding to his body, making him look incomparably sacred. Chapter 34-45. However, for the three Supremes, Yin Jizuan was just an opponent and a target to devour. Extreme Destruction sneered. Do you think you can fight the three of us alone just because you're blessed? The more dazzling you look now, the more miserable you'll end up. You don't deserve to make up my fate. Yin Jizuan, who was blessed, had her hair fluttering in the wind. A long sword appeared in her hand as she spoke. The moment the long sword was unsheathed, the surrounding void rumbled, and the space within thousands of miles trembled. The power it contained was quite invincible. Heaven-defying 9 swords. After taking out the long sword, Yin Jizuan didn't hesitate and attacked Extreme Destruction, the strongest of the three Supremes. He saw Yin Jizuan's attack with his eyes. Extreme Destruction sneered at Yin Jizuan with a disdainful look. You look strong, but you're actually pathetic. Fighting the three of us alone, your fate has already been decided. Void Destruction. After Venerate Mia used the Void Obliteration, the rumbling of the void became even more intense. At this moment, if there was a half-step Supremes here, they would definitely be crushed to death by Extreme Supreme's domain. The moment Extreme Destruction attacked, Extreme Supremes Limitless and Extreme Supremes Dan also attacked with their unique skills. The three of them had mastered thousands of superpowers, and they had all combined their own attacks. At this moment, they attacked Yin Jizuan at the same time. It was like thousands of giant dragons were pressuring her at the same time. According to the three Supremes, they should be able to take Yin Jizuan down in a few breaths of time. However, to their surprise, the thousands of superpowers they used were directly cut by Yin Jizuan's heaven-defying 9 swords. Just as Ozo, sword concealing in the void. After breaking the superpowers of the three Supremes, Yin Jizuan didn't hesitate to attack Extreme Destruction. According to her idea, as long as she killed Extreme Destruction, the remaining 2 Supremes wouldn't be a threat. After this sword attack, Yin Jizuan, who was blessed, gained the upper hand again. She directly injured Extreme Destruction. However, Extreme Destruction was a 7th grade Supremes after all. He couldn't be killed so easily. He quickly recovered. The three Supreme Masters also took the fight seriously. They knew Yan Jizun was not easy to deal with. When they used their strongest techniques and even started to burn their supreme bloodlines, their strength instantly increased by more than one level. In addition, as the battle progressed, Yan Jizun's buff began to slowly fade away. After these blessings faded away, she was no longer able to gain any advantage against the three of them, and was gradually being suppressed. As I said before, your fate has long been determined. You will become food for this sovereign's advancement. Seeing that Yan Jizun's blessing was over, a smile suddenly appeared on Mia Jizun's cold face. Then he roared, "Seal of mountains and rivers, return." At the same time, a mountain in the foggy Lutian Academy suddenly flew toward them. His speed was so fast that it was as if the distance between them did not exist. After the mountain appeared, the surrounding area changed instantly. It was as if everything was under the control of extreme destruction supremacy. "Star Hall, return," Sovereign Dan Extreme called out. The Star Hall in the endless Milky Way heard the call. It suddenly streaked across the void and quickly appeared in the sky above the eternal supreme realm. Dozens of quasi-supreme supremacy puppets in the Star Hall came out in a line and stood behind Sovereign Dan Extreme. Sea of Sun, return. Sovereign Limitless did not fall behind and summoned at the same time. Night Sorrow had once fought in the Sea of Sunday. It turned out to be his ultimate treasure. After the Sea of the Sun was summoned, the originally somewhat dim void suddenly became dazzling. Countless flame demons were summoned and appeared in the void. These three were ready to use their killer moves. "I'll help you." At this moment, Yen Hengshi's voice resounded through the void. In an instant he, who was a 6th grade Supreme Master, appeared in front of Yan Jizun. "Brother, we're going to fight side by side again." Seeing Yen Hengshi appear, a smile immediately appeared on Yan Ji's face. The three Supreme Supremacy's expressions all became very ugly. Sovereign Miyaji said in disbelief, "You're not dead and have recovered to 6th grade Supreme Master?" If it weren't for the fact that I had to recover to 6th grade Supreme Master, I would have come out to fight you already." Yen Hengshi's face was full of loathing. He was very disdainful of the three Supreme Supremacy's actions. That kind of cruelty was the same as that of animals in his heart. The same opponent, but of a different level. This time, will be the ones to win. After sizing up Yen Hengshi, Supremacy Mia's brows were full of disdain. Back then, Yen Hengshi had fought two Supreme Supremacies by himself. He was much stronger than Sovereign Miyaji. But now, Sovereign Miyaji had completely surpassed him and suppressed him by a small level. It's different this time. Night Sorrow, come out." Yen Hengshi smiled and summoned the 2nd grade Supreme Night Sorrow. After absorbing the energy provided by the Eternal Divine Tower, he had quickly advanced to 2nd grade Supreme Master. But there was no time to advance further. He could only fight like this. Seeing that Night Sorrow's cultivation was only 2nd grade Supreme Master, Sovereign Wuji's face showed a trace of disdain. "It's not easy to advance to 2nd grade Supreme Master in such a short time. But can an ant like you fight against any one of us? I'm ready to deal with you." There was a confident smile on Yi Shang's face. Although the difference in cultivation level between them was huge, he didn't show any signs of weakness. Moreover, he didn't feel uncomfortable at all under Sovereign Wuji's powerful divine realm. The power of merit had given him a considerable boost. I can destroy you with a flick of my finger." Sovereign Wuji looked at Night Sorrow with disdain, and was about to control the Sea of Sun to attack him. At this time, another voice sounded in the void. "Night Sorrow, I'm here to help you." "Senior Longevity?" Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow, who was about to attack Sovereign Wuji, raised his eyebrows. With a hopeful look, he looked into the distance and realized that it was indeed Supreme Longevity. Supreme Longevity had also advanced to the Supreme Master, but his cultivation level was only 1st grade Supreme Master. "It's me. Let's work together and kill Sovereign Wuji." Supreme Venerate Changsheng flew to Yi Shang's side and said confidently. His eyes were as bright as stars and filled with confidence. "All right. Let's kill all three of these bastards today. Let's return peace to the world." Night Sorrow roared and summoned the Eternal Divine Tower. At this moment, the other items he had on him were of too low a level to fight against Supreme Exalts. The only thing that could help was the Eternal Divine Tower. Night Sorrow, the key of this battle is you and your friends. If you can withstand Sovereign Wuji's attack, we will be the final victor. Seeing Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity rush over, Yin Jizuan said arrogantly. Chapter 34-46. Don't worry, Senior. Night Sorrow will do his best for the world. Night Sorrow replied to Yin Jizuan, then sent a message to Supreme Longevity. Senior Longevity, we can't afford to lose this battle. We have to hold limitless supremacy back even if we have to die. Don't worry. Although one of us is first grade and the other is second grade, our recovery speed is amazing. He won't be able to defeat us that easily. Let's fight to our heart's content today. Martial Yin-Yang Manga. Supreme Longevity Immortal took out a jar of wine and gulped it down without hesitation. Then he threw the jar at limitless supremacy in the distance. They overestimated their own capabilities. Relying on those two ants, they were simply delivering food to this lord. Prepare to die. Limitless Supremacy snorted, then controlled thousands of fire demons to attack Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity. Although these fire demons weren't at the level of Supreme Longevity, they were still quite powerful when they self-destructed. Especially the fire essence they contained. They could more or less pose a threat to Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity. At the same time, Limitless Supremacy also controlled the Sea of Sun to attack them with terrifying flames. Among these flames, the strongest was definitely at the level of Supreme Longevity, and it wasn't lower than the 5th grade of the Supreme Longevity. Under such a large-scale attack, Supreme Longevity couldn't dodge, and didn't have a Supreme Longevity artifact to resist. They could only use the power of the Star Ruins to resist. They were burned beyond recognition. Night Sorrow used the Eternal Divine Tower to attack, blasting the flames back. After resisting the attack of the Sea of the Sun, he struck out a buff-type defense word seal towards the Longevity Supremacy, and also struck out some frost power. This allowed him to catch his breath. At the same time, Night Sorrow, who could see that Supreme Longevity was struggling, used the power of the Star Ruins and Ice Force to attack Limitless Supremacy with the Ice Force. And the Trapping Formation triple attack. Facing Night Sorrow's attack, Limitless Supremacy laughed in disdain. Haha. I can unleash thousands of attacks of your level in an instant. As soon as he finished speaking, he sent Night Sorrow flying with a palm. The difference in strength between level 6 and level 2 of the Supreme Realm was much greater than Night Sorrow had imagined. However, he was not seriously injured by this attack. After being sent flying, he quickly stabilized himself and stood in the void. Looking at Wujizun, he said, "Your attack is only SOSO." After that, he activated the 33 Heavens Star Ruins secret combat technique and the improved Destruction Divine ability, and ignited all of his bloodline. From his point of view, Limitless Sovereign was not as strong as he had imagined. He seemed to have the power to fight against him. Fortunately, he had activated all his statuses. However, he felt a little awkward using the Destruction Divine ability in front of Extreme Destruction Supremacy. Displeasure flashed in Night Sorrow's heart. He sent a voice projection to Eternal Life, who had dodged the flame attack but was injured. Senior Eternal Life, I feel that this Limitless Prime is not as strong as I imagined. Prepare to enter your strongest state and fight with him, injuring him severely. We can't place all our hopes on the other two seniors. Good. Today, even if I have to risk my life, I will cooperate with you to kill Limitless Sovereign. Supreme Longevity originally only wanted to defend passively, but after hearing Night Sorrow's words, he suddenly became excited. He knew that this junior of his would not speak without thinking. If he said it was possible, then there was hope. Immediately, he ignited his bloodline and raised his strength to the strongest state. Oh, you two want to fight me to the death. Seeing Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity raise their strength to the peak, Limitless Sovereign sneered. He directly absorbed the Sea of Sunday. He also raised his strength by a lot, making his aura infinitely close to level 7 supremacy. Then, he struck out a palm toward Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity. Although this palm strike was casual, It contained a strong flame power, which was close to the limit of the world. Even Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity found it hard to bear. The two were forced back one after another. After sending Night Sorrow and Supreme Longevity flying, Limitless Sovereign mocked. "Didn't you raise your strength to the strongest? How come you can't even take a palm strike from me? I can't take your attack, but that doesn't mean you can take mine." At this moment, Night Sorrow suddenly took out the Golden Heavenly Halberd and Desolation Halberd and merged them together. After activating the Star Ruin's power, he suddenly struck out a spear strike that contained the Star Ruin's power at Limitless Sovereign. This spear strike contained Night Sorrow's lifetime understanding. It did not have a name, but its power was definitely stronger than all his attacks in his life. At the same time, Supreme Longevity also cooperated with Night Sorrow and struck out a unique skill that contained the Star Ruin's power. Star Ruin Space. After the Star Ruin Space was formed, it immediately sealed Limitless Sovereign inside. With the help of Night Sorrow's 3 consecutive attacks, he could not dodge Night Sorrow's spear strike at all. "Kiki. So powerful. I can't dodge it." "Then let this venerable see just what kind of power your spear has." Limitless Sovereign, who was trapped, did not panic at all. Facing Night Sorrow's spear, he summoned a flame spear and shot it towards Night Sorrow, who was Mangun Kazuchi. With a buzzing sound, the void was really shattered for thousands of miles. Even the 4 Supreme Sovereigns who were in the middle of the battle were attracted. They did not expect that there would be such a big commotion here. When everyone looked over, they were all surprised to see that Night Sorrow had pierced through Limitless Sovereign with a single spear strike. However, for an existence at the level of Supreme Sovereigns, even if their body or dantian were pierced, they would not lose their battle power. Because even a strand of hair of a Supreme Sovereign could erupt with endless power. "Night Sorrow, you have successfully enraged me. Go to hell." After being pierced through by Night Sorrow, Limitless Sovereign was completely enraged. He suddenly burned his own bloodline. This time, he really raised his strength to the peak. At this time, Yen Hengshi reminded, "Night Sorrow, be careful. Limitless Sovereign still has many powerful moves that he has not used yet." "Thank you for the reminder." Night Sorrow, who was in a killing frenzy, replied, then attacked Limitless Sovereign together with Supreme Longevity. However, this time, Supreme Longevity's astral void dimension was broken by Limitless Sovereign as soon as it appeared. After destroying the Star Ruined space, Venerable Wuji ferociously struck at Venerable Longevity. He sneered, "Ant-like thing, don't get in my way." Then he smashed Supreme Longevity's body into pieces with a single palm strike, then sent Night Sorrow flying with a backhand strike. Night Sorrow's body was obviously stronger than Supreme Longevity's, so it was not a big deal. Senior Longevity. Seeing Supreme Longevity being smashed into pieces by Limitless Sovereign, Night Sorrow roared. He sent a telepathic message. "Eternal Divine Tower, give me one of your elixirs." Then he consumed the elixirs that were refined by the Eternal Divine Tower to increase his strength, increasing his strength by 10 times. This was his limit, and it could only last for 20 breaths. Chapter 3447. These 20 breaths of time would determine the fate of Night Sorrow and venerated infinite supremacy. After Night Sorrow raised his aura, his body glowed brightly. He floated in the air like a god. His every movement carried an indescribable aura. This was the sublimation of his soul. His soul had also improved qualitatively after taking the pill. Seeing the change in Night Sorrow's aura, Limitless sneered. "Your companion has been killed by me. Now we're one-on-one. Do you still need to struggle? We'll only know after we fight." Night Sorrow knew that this was the most important and the most difficult battle in his life. With a roar, he used his speed to approach Limitless. He knew that he couldn't compare to his opponent who had thousands of abilities in terms of spells. He chose to fight in the most primitive way, close combat. Close combat? I've been a Supreme Exalt for many years. My body's strength is not something you can compare to. Seeing that Night Sorrow chose to give up on Limitless' most powerful spell attack and try to get close to him, Limitless smiled disdainfully. Endless flames bloomed around him. Then, he began what might be the most powerful close combat in the world with Night Sorrow. At this time, Yin Hengshi and Limitless Pill were also fighting fiercely. Although Yin Hengshi had just recovered, his combat strength was clearly superior to Limitless Pill's. However, Limitless Pill's Star Hall was a supreme divine artifact. It was very mysterious and increased his strength by more than one level. The two sides reached a stalemate that was difficult to break. On the other side, the battle between Yin Hengshi and Limitless Annihilation was obviously on a higher level than the other two battles. Yin Hengshi wanted to quickly kill Limitless Annihilation and end the battle, but as the battle went on, she suddenly realized that Limitless Annihilation's strength was above hers. If the battle continued, it would be hard to say what would happen. Therefore, Yin Hengshi also put on a desperate stance, wanting to fight Limitless Annihilation to the death. Limitless Annihilation, who vaguely had the upper hand, was a battle maniac. After Yin Hengshi chose to fight with her life on the line, he fiercely increased his strength to the peak. The pace of this battle between supreme sovereigns was clearly faster than Yi Shan had expected. Almost in the blink of an eye, there would be changes. In a close combat state with Limitless Annihilation, Night Sorrow was completely putting himself in a desperate situation. He exchanged moves with his opponent without regard for his life. Basically, he was hurting himself. But with the support of the human bloodline, his recovery ability was stronger than Limitless. However, the life force of an extreme venerable was extremely strong. And in a battle of this level, the life force of an extreme venerable was extremely powerful. Although Night Sorrow could injure Limitless Supremacy, he didn't have the ability to instantly kill him. This made him extremely anxious. After all, he's Limitless Annihilation. What? You won't be able to maintain this state for long. You want to insta-kill me? Limitless. Come, let me see your strongest attack. Limitless Annihilation, who knew that Night Sorrow couldn't maintain his Limitless Annihilation state for long, mocked him again. From his point of view, the battle in front of him was completely of the nature of entertainment. After all, there was a huge gap between him, Night Sorrow, and supreme longevity in terms of cultivation and accumulation. Strongest attack. Do you want to try it? Alright, I'll satisfy you. Night Sorrow replied to Limitless Annihilation forcefully. As he said this, many figures appeared in his mind. He had a wife, children, clansmen, friends, and thousands of cultivators in the world. Then he looked coldly at Limitless Annihilation and chose to get close to him again. Ignorant Junior. How dare you call yourself a widow in front of me? I'll kill you right now. Limitless Annihilation released a cold murderous aura. But at this moment Night Sorrow, who was close to him, chose to self-destruct with the Eternal Divine Tower in his strongest state. At this moment, with the support of pills, his life force was basically on par with Limitless Annihilation. The power of his self-destruction was imaginable. With the Eternal Divine Tower, he was even more powerful. When Limitless Annihilation realized this, his pupils shrank and he wanted to escape. However, at such a close distance, where could he escape to? In an instant he was severely injured by Night Sorrow's self-destruction. Although Limitless Annihilation didn't completely kill him, his origin was damaged and he couldn't fight at all. Night Sorrow. Seeing Night Sorrow choose to self-destruct and seriously injure Limitless Annihilation, Yin Hengshi's body trembled. Then he took out the ancient coffin that he borrowed from Night Sorrow and put everything that was scattered in the void into it. Then he waved his hand and threw it into the distance. On the other side, Yin Hengshi took the opportunity to attack Limitless Annihilation, who had lost his ability to fight, with a sword of aura. He wanted to kill him completely. You want to kill someone in front of me? At this moment, Annihilation's supremacy suddenly attacked and dissolved Yin Hengshi's attack. Then they started fighting again. Yin Hengshi was in the same situation. Seeing that Limitless Annihilation's supremacy couldn't fight back and didn't have a chance to attack, he was very anxious. Because Limitless Annihilation's supremacy in the void was slowly recovering his life force. This was the terrifying part of supreme supremacy. If this continued, the three supreme supremacies would win again. Yin Hengshi and Yin Hengshi looked at each other and saw the unwillingness in each other's eyes. But at this moment, they couldn't break the situation at all. Die. At this moment, an angry roar came from the void. It was Supreme Longevity who had come back to life. He appeared in the void again and attacked Limitless Annihilation Supremacy at the closest distance. After being hit, Limitless Annihilation Supremacy, who was already dying, was completely killed. Damn you! Seeing that Supreme Longevity had appeared and killed Limitless Annihilation Supremacy, Yen Hengshi went crazy. Mia Jizun roared madly. While fighting against Yen Jizun, he threw the seal of 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers at Longevity Supreme. He directly sucked Supreme Longevity into it. No! Seeing this scene, Yen Hengshi immediately shouted. But it was too late to stop the tragedy. In the next moment, the powerful Annihilation Supremacy devoured Supreme Longevity. In an instant, his strength increased crazily, and he rushed to the 8th level of the Supreme Realm. Brother! What should we do to defeat them? Yen Hengshi transmitted her voice to Yen Hengshi. At this moment, she couldn't see any hope of victory. Yen Hengshi, who was fighting against Supremacy Dan, didn't respond for a long time. This was because he also couldn't see any hope of victory. Supremacy, whose strength was increasing, said coldly, "Today, I will devour all of you. I will open a new realm." Chapter 34-48. Let's fight. Let's fight to the end. If we can't win, we'll choose to self-detonate like Night Sorrow. At worst, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We'll never return. Yen Jizun didn't get a response from Yen Hengshi. He took out an oil paper umbrella and threw it into the air. After the paper umbrella was thrown out, it emitted rings of light one after another. The souls of the 3 Supreme Venerables who were affected by the attack were greatly affected, and their powers were greatly weakened. Isn't this something from this world? Yen Jizun took out the divine artifact that suppressed everyone's souls. Mia Jizun said in surprise. At this moment, after devouring Supreme Longevity, his strength was gradually rising to the 8th level of the Supreme Realm. His rise was suddenly interrupted by the oil paper umbrella, which made him very uncomfortable. No matter where it comes from, it's used to suppress you. Yen Jizun said telepathically, "Brother, the oil paper umbrella can temporarily slow down the increase of their strength and suppress their souls. Let's find a chance to kill Mia Wuji first." Okay. One kill is one kill. Yen Hengshi said telepathically, and began to discuss with Yen Jizun how to find a chance to kill Mia Wuji. At this moment, Mia Wuji was floating in the air after being severely injured by Night Sorrow's self-detonation. He should be able to recover soon. Compared to Mia Jizun and Dan Jizun, he was naturally the easiest to kill. However, just as Yen Jizun and Yen Hengshi were discussing countermeasures, something unexpected happened. Before the two of them could make a move, Mia Wuji was directly devoured by Mia Jizun. After devouring Mia Wuji, his strength directly rose to the 8th level of the Supreme Realm, and his aura was constantly rising. He was about to reach the 9th level. Such strength was enough to completely crush Yen Jizun and Yen Hengshi. The two Supremes looked at each other and realized that something was wrong. Dan Jizun originally wanted to scold Mia Jizun, but he didn't dare to speak at all. Mia Jizun's strength was simply too terrifying. He had grown to a frightening level. His eyes, which were originally normal, were now filled with a terrifying red light. Not good. We can't fight against Mia at all. Yen Hengshi looked at Supremacy Mia from afar and realized that something was wrong. Yen Jizun didn't look too good either. She didn't expect Mia Jizun to become so strong after swallowing 2 Supreme Zun. What? I'm only at the 8th stage, and you're already afraid? As a Supreme Venerable, isn't it a little too unbearable to save such a small amount of courage? After Mia Jizun got used to his current power, he waved his hand and unleashed a light that shattered Yen Jizun's umbrella. Then he sneered. After fighting for so many years, I'm about to kill all of you. I'm really a little reluctant. Although he talked a lot, Mia Jizun was not idle at all. He continued to attack Yen Jizun and Yen Hengshi. After he had advanced to the 8th grade of the Extreme Realm, his strength had become something that the two of them could not contend against. Although they had completely ignited their bloodline power, they were still repeatedly forced to retreat. There was no hope at all. In a situation where they were not as strong as Supremacy Destruction, the two of them, who were alone and without help, felt very desperate. In this situation, Yin Jizuan said angrily, "Brother, let's choose to self-destruct. We can't let him take advantage of our essence. All right. Only in this way can we temporarily stop his strength from growing crazily," Yin Hengshi said helplessly. Although he was worried that after self-destructing, Miejizun would continue to wreak havoc in the myriad worlds, he really could not do anything. Self-destruct? You want to self-destruct? Do you think it's that easy? When Yin Jizun and Yin Hengshi had decided to self-destruct, Miejizun suddenly laughed wildly. He unleashed 2 energy halos and bound them inside. The 2 of them, who were bound, found that in this situation, they could not use any means at all. If they wanted to self-destruct, they could not control their own energy. Ha ha ha. The most exciting moment has finally arrived. What's the use of hiding those ants? As long as I devour all of you, I have hope of opening a new realm. After binding Yin Jizun and Yin Hengshi, Miejizun laughed wildly. Then he did another unexpected thing and cruelly devoured Miejizun beside him. After devouring Miejizun, his strength completely advanced to the 9th grade of the extreme realm. When his strength reached the peak of the 9th grade of the extreme realm, Miejizun looked at Yin Jizun and Yin Hengshi with a strange smile. Next, it's time to witness a miracle. I hope you don't disappoint me. After fighting for so many years, I'm really reluctant to devour you. Don't be hypocritical. You didn't seem reluctant to devour Limitless and Miejizun, who have fought with you for so many years. Hearing this, Yin Jizun disdainfully said. When Miejizun devoured Limitless and Miejizun, he did not even blink. He had completely lost his humanity. In that case, I won't talk nonsense with you stepping stones. Accept your lamentable fate. After Miejizun finished speaking, he completely released his divine realm, ready to devour Yin Jizun and Yin Hengshi in his strongest state. You should accept your lamentable fate first. At this moment, a deep voice was suddenly heard from the void. It interrupted Miejizun, who was about to devour Yin Jizun and Yin Hengshi. Miejizun looked over and said in surprise, "You ant, you didn't die after self-destructing?" Yin Jizun looked in the direction of the void and reminded, "Night Sorrow, be careful of Miejizun. He has reached the 9th grade of Supreme Venerable. His strength is extraordinary. Senior Yin, don't worry. I came back from 400,000 years in order to end Miejizun." Night Sorrow, who was floating in the void, looked a little blurry and ethereal. Behind him was a huge black hole. After self-destructing during the battle, everything about Night Sorrow was taken into the coffin by Yin Hengshi and floated in the void. After Night Sorrow was successfully reborn in the coffin, his strength was still only at the 2nd grade of Supreme Venerable. Even if he returned, there was no way to prevent the tragedy from happening. Therefore, he merged the 2 coffins together and cultivated in peace in the new world. It took him 400,000 years to raise his strength to the 9th grade of Supreme Venerable. In the end, he mastered all the Daos in the new world and completely entered a new level. Now he came from 400,000 years in the future. 400,000 years in the future? You came from the future? When Miejizun heard Night Sorrow's words, he was very surprised. Moreover, he had already sensed Night Sorrow's strength. Miejizun, haven't you always wanted to open a new realm? I'll let you see what a new realm is all about. Fusion of Daos. As soon as his voice fell, 10,000 rays of light appeared on Night Sorrow's palm. These were not only rays of light, but also the 10,000 Daos born from the world. They were no different from the 10,000 Daos in the 10,000 worlds. Then he merged the 10,000 Daos together and blasted them toward Miejizun. Miejizun, who was wholeheartedly pursuing a new realm, wanted to say something, but before he could speak he was directly killed by the 10,000 Daos. He completely understood the horror of a new realm. Night Sorrow, well done. I didn't expect you to stand up at this critical moment. How did you think of traveling through time from the future to stop this disaster? Yin Hengshi, who had recovered his freedom after the death of Miejizun, immediately asked excitedly. Senior Yin, we can slowly talk about these things when we meet in 400,000 years. At this time, Night Sorrow's figure slowly disappeared into the void, and the black hole behind him also disappeared. After Night Sorrow's figure disappeared, Supreme Longevity's figure slowly appeared at the place where Mieji-Zun was killed. He had successfully revived again. In a corner of the universe, an ancient coffin was floating aimlessly. Night Sorrow's originally broken body was recovering bit by bit. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.